Help. I'm pregnant. She collapses against the marble sink after sending it, mascara streaking her face, relief flooding through her, until the response buzzes back in seconds. The words make no sense. How did you get this number? Panic replaces relief. This isn't her sister. This is someone dangerous, someone powerful, and judging by the suited men now scanning the Gala crowd, someone who just decided she's his problem to solve. A single mistyped digit hurls her secret into the hands of a mafia boss who never believes in accidents, forcing him to choose between using her vulnerability as leverage in a brewing turf war or breaking his own brutal rules to protect a stranger and the life she carries. Hello, beautiful family. My daughter challenged me to hit 1,000 subscribers, so now you're all involved. Let's show her that nothing is impossible with a family behind you. Subscribe and comment below with where you're watching from. I want to know, because seeing all your locations reminds me that stories connect us all, no matter the distance. Let's continue. Help. I'm pregnant. The words glare back at her from the bright screen. A confession thrown into the dark from the marble bathroom of a Manhattan winter charity gala. Her name is Lila Hawthorne, and her heartbeat is louder than the orchestra bleeding through the gilded doors as she realizes there is no going back now. She needed her sister. Instead, her shaking fingers hit the wrong number. On the other side of the city, in a high-rise office wrapped in glass and shadow, Raffaele Corvini pauses mid-meeting when his private phone vibrates. Only his inner circle has this line. Only people who owe him blood or money dare use it. The message is short, raw, and nothing like the threats or pleas he usually receives. Help. I'm pregnant. He reads it twice, feeling something unfamiliar cut through the numb armor built from years of war, loss, and ruthless decisions. Back at the Gala, Lila clutches the sink, trying not to break apart as laughter and champagne flow just meters away. Her life is already falling out of control. A vanished boyfriend, a secret growing inside her. No safety net. When the reply comes, it is not gentle, not kind. A command, sharp and cold, from a man who does not ask questions without expecting obedience. And in that moment, without ever seeing his face, her path slams into his world of guns, loyalty, and unforgiving codes. Lila's phone trembles in her grip as she stares at the response glowing on the screen. How did you get this number? The question sits there, blunt and accusatory, and her stomach twists so violently she nearly doubles over. She swipes to delete the thread, but her fingers freeze. What if that makes it worse? What if he's already tracking her? She doesn't know who he is, but the tone alone tells her everything. This is not someone who forgives mistakes. She forces herself upright, splashes cold water on her face, and drags a paper towel across the smeared mascara. The Gala music pulses faintly through the walls, all strings and false cheer, and she knows she has to go back out there. Smile, pretend, survive the next 2 hours and then disappear into her tiny apartment where no one can find her. She tucks the phone into her clutch and pushes through the bathroom door. The ballroom swallows her immediately. Crystal chandeliers throw fractured light across silk gowns and tailored tuxedos, and waiters glide between clusters of Manhattan's wealthiest with trays of champagne. Lila weaves through the crowd, head down, aiming for the exit near the coat check. She's 3 steps from freedom when a hand closes gently around her elbow. Miss Hawthorne? She spins, heart slamming against her ribs. The man in front of her is young, sharp-eyed, dressed in a dark suit that fits too well to be rented. His smile is polite, but his gaze is cold and measuring. I'm sorry. Do I know you? She manages, tugging her arm back. No, ma'am, but someone would like a word. He gestures toward the far side of the room, where a door she's never noticed before stands slightly ajar. 2 more men in similar suits flank it, hands clasped in front of them, scanning the crowd with mechanical precision. I don't think so, Lila says, stepping back. I was just leaving. The man's smile doesn't shift. It'll only take a moment. Please. The word please carries no warmth. It's a formality wrapped around an order. Lila glances toward the main entrance and sees another suited figure there now, blocking the way out. Her pulse hammers in her throat. She thinks about screaming, but what would she say? A man wants to talk to me? In a room full of donors and society elites, no one would care. They'd assume it was business. They'd look away. Fine, she whispers. One moment. He leads her through the crowd, past perfume and polite laughter, and through the unmarked door. The hallway beyond is narrow and dim, carpeted in deep red, and at the end is an elevator she's never seen on any floor plan. The man presses the call button without a word. The doors open immediately, as if they've been waiting. Inside, the elevator is silent except for the hum of machinery. Lila watches the floor numbers climb 3rd, 4th, 5th, and her mind races. She thinks about the text, about Camden, who vanished 3 weeks ago after swearing he'd handle things, about the pregnancy test she took in a gas station bathroom because she couldn't afford to be seen at a clinic, about how fragile everything in her life has become, how one wrong step could shatter it all. The elevator stops on the 7th floor. The doors open onto a private suite, and the temperature seems to drop. The room is elegant in a way that feels deliberate. Leather furniture, low lighting, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the snowy streets below. And standing near the window, silhouetted against the glow of the city, is a man who doesn't turn around when she enters. "Sit," he says. His voice is low, controlled, and utterly devoid of warmth. Lila doesn't move. The young man who escorted her closes the elevator doors behind her and steps to the side, hands folded. Another man older, broader, with graying temples leans against the wall near the door, arms crossed. Both of them are watching her like she's evidence at a crime scene. The man by the window finally turns. He's older than she expected, mid-40s, with dark hair threaded with silver and a face carved from stone and exhaustion. His suit is immaculate, his posture rigid, and his eyes dark, sharp, unreadable lock onto hers with the weight of a verdict. "Sit down," he repeats. This time, Lila obeys. Her legs fold beneath her as she sinks onto the edge of a leather chair, clutching her purse in her lap like a shield. He steps closer, hands in his pockets, and studies her for a long, unbearable moment. Then he pulls out his phone, taps the screen, and holds it up so she can see. Her own message stares back at her. "Help, I'm pregnant. My name is Raffaele Corvini," he says quietly. "And you're going to tell me exactly how you got this number." Lila's mouth goes dry. The name means nothing to her, but the way he says it flat, certain, like a signature on a contract, makes her skin prickle. She shakes her head, throat tight. "I don't know who you are," she whispers. "I was trying to text my sister. I must have typed the number wrong." Raffaele doesn't blink. He slides the phone back into his pocket and takes another step closer, close enough that she has to tilt her head back to meet his eyes. "This number is private. It's not listed. It's not saved anywhere public. So I'll ask you again. How did you get it?" "I swear I don't know. Her voice cracks, and she hates herself for it. "I was panicking. My hands were shaking. I must have hit the wrong digit." He watches her for a long moment, and she can feel him cataloging every tremor, every breath, every flicker of her gaze. Then he straightens and walks to the window, hands clasped behind his back. The city glitters below, indifferent and cold. "What's your sister's number?" he asks without turning around. Lila fumbles for her phone, pulls up the contact, and reads it aloud. Her voice shakes on the last 2 digits. Raffaele doesn't move, but the older man by the door pulls out his own phone and taps something in. A moment later, he nods. "1 digit off," the older man says. His voice is rough, like gravel under tires. "Could be legit." Raffaele's shoulders shift, but he doesn't relax. "Could be." Lila's hands twist in her lap. "Can I go now?" "No." The word lands like a door slamming shut. She jerks her head up, pulse spiking. "What? Why not? I told you, it was a mistake." "Mistakes don't happen to me," Raffaele cuts in, turning to face her. "Not on this line. Not with this kind of message." He crosses his arms, and the movement makes his jacket pull tight across his shoulders. "You texted me for help. You said you're pregnant. So either you're lying, or you're in trouble. Either way, I need to know why." "I'm not lying." The words come out sharper than she intends, and she sees the flicker of interest in his eyes. "I am pregnant, and I am in trouble. But it has nothing to do with you." "Then who?" She hesitates. Saying Camden's name feels like pulling a pin from a grenade, but the silence in this room is suffocating, and she knows they won't let her leave until she gives them something. "My ex-boyfriend?" she says finally. "Camden Royce. He owes people money, a lot of money. He told me he'd handle it, and then he disappeared 3 weeks ago. I've been getting calls, messages, people asking where he is, what I know." Her voice drops. "I don't know anything, but they don't believe me." Raffaele's expression doesn't change, but something shifts in the room. The older man by the door straightens slightly, and the younger one near the elevator tilts his head, listening harder. "Who's calling you?" Raffaele asks. "I don't know. They don't leave names, just threats." She swallows hard. "They said if Camden doesn't pay, someone else will. I think they mean me." Raffaele is silent for a moment, his gaze fixed on her face. Then he pulls his phone out again and taps the screen a few times before holding it to his ear. Silvano. Run the name Camden Royce. Gambling debts. Anything connected to Belandi's crew. He waits, eyes still on Lila. Yes, now. He ends the call and slides the phone away. How far along are you? The question catches her off guard. She blinks, heat rising to her cheeks. What? The pregnancy. How far? 8 weeks, she says quietly. Why does that matter? He doesn't answer. Instead, he turns to the older man. Matteo. Take her to the car. Keep her there until I come down. Wait, Lila stands, panic flaring. I'm not going anywhere with you. I answered your questions. I told you the truth. Raffaele looks at her, and for the first time, something almost human flickers across his face. Not kindness. Exactly. Something heavier. You said you're in trouble. You said people are threatening you. If Camden Royce owes money to the people I think he does, then you walking out of here alone is the worst decision you could make. I'll take my chances. No, he says quietly. You won't. The younger man, Matteo, steps forward, and Lila backs up instinctively, her shoulders hitting the chair. You can't just keep me here. That's kidnapping. It's protection, Raffaele corrects. There's a difference. I don't need your protection. I don't even know you. You texted me for help. His voice drops, low and unyielding. I don't ignore that. Her breath catches. She wants to argue, to fight, to run. But the weight of his gaze pins her in place, and beneath the fear and the anger, a horrible, treacherous part of her whispers that maybe, just maybe, he's right. Maybe walking out of here alone is suicide. Raffaele glances at Matteo. Downstairs. Now. Matteo moves toward her, not touching, but close enough that she has no choice but to step forward. Lila's heart pounds as she's guided back to the elevator, the doors sliding shut on Raffaele's unreadable face. The descent is silent. When they reach the ground floor, Matteo leads her through a service exit she didn't know existed, into the cold December night where 3 black SUVs idle at the curb, exhaust rising like ghosts. He opens the rear door of the middle vehicle. Get in. Lila looks back at the Gala entrance, at the warmth and light and people who have no idea what's happening. Then she looks at the dark interior of the car, and the choice that isn't really a choice. She gets in. The car smells like leather and something faintly metallic. Lila sits rigid in the back seat, hands clasped tight in her lap, as Matteo slides in beside her and another man takes the driver's seat. The engine hums, low and steady, but they don't move. They're waiting. She stares out the tinted window at the Gala entrance, watching couples descend the marble steps, laughing and oblivious. Her phone buzzes in her clutch. She pulls it out with trembling fingers, a text from her sister. Did you mean to send me that? Call me, now. Lila's thumb hovers over the screen, but before she can type a reply, Matteo's hand extends toward her, palm up. Phone, he says. No, it's not a request. I'm not giving you my phone. Matteo doesn't argue. He just looks at her, patient and immovable, until the weight of the silence becomes unbearable. Lila's grip tightens on the device, but she knows this is a battle she can't win. She drops it into his hand, and he powers it down without a word, slipping it into his jacket pocket. You can't just... We can, he says simply. And we are. The passenger door of the front seat opens, and the older man from upstairs, the one who checked her sister's number, climbs in. He twists around to look at her, his expression unreadable. Silvano Martelli, he says by way of introduction. You stay quiet. You stay safe. Understood? Lila nods, throat dry. Silvano turns back around, and a moment later, Raffaele emerges from the service exit. He moves with the kind of precision that suggests he's done this 1,000 times. No wasted steps, no hesitation. He opens the door and slides into the seat beside her. And suddenly the car feels impossibly small. Drive, he says. The vehicle pulls away from the curb, smooth and silent. Lila watches the Gala recede through the rear window, the lights dimming, the music fading, until there's nothing left but the dark streets and the hum of tires on asphalt. Where are we going? She asks. Somewhere you won't be found, Raffaele replies without looking at her. I have a job, an apartment. People will notice if I'm gone, then they'll notice. His tone is flat, final. Right now, staying visible is a death sentence. She swallows hard, nausea rising in her throat. You're serious. Camden Royce owes money to Enzo Belandi, Raffaele says, and the name hangs in the air like smoke. Belandi runs half of Queens. He doesn't forgive debts, and he doesn't care who pays them. If he thinks you know where Camden is, Or if he thinks hurting you will bring Camden out of hiding, you're already a target. Lila's hands start to shake. I don't know where Camden is. I haven't seen him in weeks. Doesn't matter. Belandi doesn't work on facts. He works on pressure. The car turns onto a bridge, the city lights reflecting off the dark water below. Lila feels the distance growing between her and everything familiar, and panic claws at her chest. I can't just disappear, she whispers. I have a life. Raffaele finally looks at her, and his gaze is hard but not cruel. You had a life. Now you have a choice. Come with me and stay breathing, or go home and wait for Belandi's people to knock on your door. That's not a choice. No, he agrees. It's not. The bridge gives way to narrower streets, older buildings, rows of brownstones with iron railings and snow gathering on the stoops. Brooklyn. Lila recognizes the neighborhood vaguely, though she's never spent much time here. The car slows and pulls up in front of a 3-story brownstone with dark windows and a reinforced door. Matteo gets out first, scanning the street, then opens Lila's door. She doesn't move. Out, Raffaele says quietly. What if I say no? Then Matteo carries you in. Your choice. Lila's jaw tightens, but she knows he means it. She climbs out into the cold, her breath misting in front of her, and follows Matteo up the steps. Raffaele is close behind, and Silvano brings up the rear. The door opens before they reach it, and a younger man, lean, dark-haired, watchful, steps aside to let them in. Clear? Raffaele asks. Clear, the man confirms. Nico's upstairs. No movement on the block. Inside, the brownstone is warm but sparse. Hardwood floors, minimal furniture, heavy curtains drawn tight across every window. It feels less like a home and more like a fortress. Lila stands in the entryway, arms wrapped around herself, while Raffaele shrugs off his coat and hands it to Matteo. First floor is secure, the younger man says. Second floor has 2 bedrooms, bathroom. Third floor is ours. Raffaele nods. Put her in the back bedroom. Matteo, first watch. Rotate every 4 hours. The younger man gestures toward the stairs. This way. Lila doesn't move. You're posting guards? Like I'm a prisoner? Like you're an asset, Raffaele corrects. And assets don't get to walk around unsupervised. I'm not an asset. I'm a person. You're both. He steps closer, and she has to tilt her head back to hold his gaze. You think this is about you? It's not. The second Belandi finds out I pulled you off the street, he's going to assume you matter to me. He's going to come looking. And when he does, I need to know exactly where you are. I don't matter to you, Lila says, voice trembling. You don't even know me. Raffaele's expression doesn't change, but something flickers in his eyes, something too quick to name. No, he says quietly. But you sent me a message asking for help, and I don't ignore those. He turns and walks toward the back of the house, leaving her standing there with Matteo and the younger man. The silence stretches, uncomfortable and heavy. Come on, Matteo says, not unkindly. Upstairs. Lila climbs the stairs on legs that feel disconnected from her body. The back bedroom is small but clean. A double bed, a nightstand, a window with bars on the outside. Matteo checks the locks, then steps into the hallway. Door stays open, he says. You need anything, you ask. And if I try? He meets her eyes, calm and unyielding. Then I stop you. He pulls the door halfway closed and takes up position in the hallway. Lila sinks onto the edge of the bed, heart pounding, and presses a hand to her stomach. 8 weeks, a tiny flutter of cells that she's barely begun to believe in. And now she's trapped in a stranger's house, caught between a man who vanished and a man who never lets anything go. Outside, a car door slams. Voices murmur, low and tense. And somewhere in the cold Brooklyn night, the hunt has already begun. Lila doesn't sleep. She lies on top of the covers, still in her gala dress, staring at the ceiling while the house settles around her. Footsteps creak overhead. Voices murmur in the hallway. Once, she hears the low rumble of Raffaele's voice through the floorboards, sharp and controlled, issuing orders she can't quite make out. She thinks about Camden. About the last time she saw him, 3 weeks ago, when he showed up at her apartment with that crooked smile and empty promises. He'd kissed her forehead, told her everything would be fine, and walked out the door like he always did. She should have known then. She should have seen the fear behind his eyes. At some point near dawn, exhaustion drags her under. She wakes to pale winter light filtering through the barred window and the smell of coffee drifting up from downstairs. Her body aches, her mouth is dry, and for a disorienting moment, she forgets where she is. Then she sees Matteo leaning against the doorframe, arms crossed, watching her. "Morning," he says. Lila sits up slowly, smoothing her ruined dress. "What time is it?" 7:30. There's a bathroom across the hall, towels in the cabinet. Clothes in the closet might not fit perfect, but they're clean. She blinks at him. "Clothes? Boss had someone pick them up early this morning. Your size, right?" He rattles off numbers that are disturbingly accurate. Lila's stomach twists. How does he know my size? Mateo shrugs. He knows a lot of things. Shower. Get dressed. Breakfast in 20. He steps back into the hallway, and Lila forces herself off the bed. Her legs feel shaky, unsteady. But she makes it to the bathroom without collapsing. The shower is hot, almost scalding, and she stands under the spray until her skin turns pink, and the night before starts to feel less like a nightmare. The closet holds jeans, sweaters, undergarments still in their packaging. Everything fits. She tries not to think about what that means, about how quickly Raffaele's people work, how much control he has, how thoroughly he's already woven her into his world. Downstairs, the kitchen is brighter than she expected. Morning sun slants through a gap in the curtains, illuminating a scarred wooden table where Raffaele sits with a cup of coffee and a tablet. He's in shirt sleeves now, collar unbuttoned, and he looks up when she enters. "Sit," he says. There's a plate waiting for her. Scrambled eggs, toast, fruit. Her stomach growls despite everything. She sits across from him, and Mateo takes up position near the door. "Eat," Raffaele says, eyes back on the tablet. Lila picks up a fork, but her hands are shaking too badly to use it. She sets it down. "I need my phone." "No, I need to call my sister. She's going to be worried. She'll survive. You can't just cut me off from everyone I know." Raffaele looks up, and his gaze is cold. "Yes, I can, and I will, until I'm sure Belandi doesn't have eyes on your contacts. My sister has nothing to do with this. You don't know that. Camden could have used her phone, could have given her number to someone, could have put her in the line of fire without telling her." He sets the tablet down. "I'm not risking it." Lila's throat tightens. "So I'm just supposed to sit here? A prisoner in your house? You're supposed to stay alive." His voice is flat, unyielding. Everything else is secondary. She wants to scream at him, to throw the plate across the room, but the exhaustion and fear are too heavy. Instead, she picks up the toast and forces herself to chew. It tastes like nothing. Raffaele watches her for a moment, then stands. "Silvano's running down Camden's movements. We'll know more by tonight. And then what? Then we decide what to do with you." The words hang in the air, clinical and detached, and Lila's stomach lurches. "I'm not a problem you need to solve. You are exactly that." He drains his coffee and sets the cup in the sink. "Mateo." She doesn't leave the second floor. No windows, no phone, no exceptions. "Got it." Raffaele heads for the door, but Lila's voice stops him. "Why are you doing this?" He pauses, hand on the doorframe, and doesn't turn around. "Doing what?" "Protecting me. You don't know me. I'm nothing to you." For a long moment he's silent. Then quietly, "You asked for help. That doesn't mean you had to answer." He turns, and the look on his face is unreadable. Something caught between irritation and something darker, older. "I lost someone once because I didn't answer fast enough. I won't make that mistake again." Before she can respond, he's gone. The front door opens and closes, and she hears the low rumble of an engine starting outside. Mateo shifts his weight, still watching her. "Finish your food," he says. Lila pushes the plate away. "I'm not hungry. You're pregnant. You need to eat." The bluntness of it startles her. She looks up, and Mateo's expression is softer now, almost sympathetic. "Look, I get it. This is scary. But the boss doesn't do things halfway. If he says he's keeping you safe, he means it. He's a stranger. So was the guy who got you pregnant and left you to deal with Belandi's crew alone." Mateo's voice is quiet but pointed. "At least this stranger showed up." The words hit harder than she expects. She blinks back the sting in her eyes and picks up the fork again, forcing down another bite. Mateo nods, satisfied, and steps back into the hallway. Lila finishes the eggs in silence, then carries her plate to the sink. Through the window above it, she catches a glimpse of the street. A quiet Brooklyn block, snow on the sidewalks, a black SUV parked at the curb with a man in the driver's seat. Watching, she presses a hand to her stomach, feeling the faint nausea that's been her constant companion for weeks. 8 weeks. A secret she's barely begun to understand, and now it's tangled up with men who deal in threats and blood. with a mafia boss who looks at her like she's a puzzle he needs to solve before she becomes a liability. Upstairs, a door opens. Footsteps cross the floor. A voice she doesn't recognize says something low and urgent, and Mateo's reply is sharp. Lila turns away from the window, heart pounding, and climbs the stairs. Whatever's happening, she's part of it now, and there's no going back. The afternoon drags. Lila paces the second floor like a caged animal, moving between the bedroom and the hallway, always under Mateo's watchful eye. She tries the window in the bathroom locked and barred. She tries engaging him in conversation. He answers in clipped monosyllables. She tries sitting still, but the silence is worse than the pacing. At 3 o'clock, the front door opens downstairs. She hears Raffaele's voice, low and tense, and another man responding older, gravelly. Silvano. She moves to the top of the stairs, straining to listen. Camden Royce hasn't used his credit cards in 18 days, Silvano says. Last ping on his phone was in Atlantic City. Then nothing. Dead or hiding? Raffaele asks. Could be either. But here's the part you need to hear. He was seen with one of Belandi's runners 2 days before he vanished. A sit-down at a bar in Astoria. Witnesses say it got heated. There's a pause. Then Raffaele's voice, colder now. So Belandi already knows about the girl. Safe bet. If Camden mentioned her, and he probably did when he was begging for time, then Belandi's been watching her for weeks. Lila's blood turns to ice. She grips the banister, knees weak. How close? Raffaele asks. Close enough. I pulled footage from her building. Black sedan parked across the street 3 nights last week. Same plates tied to one of Belandi's crews. Then it's not a question of if. It's when. Silvano's voice drops lower, and Lila has to lean forward to catch the words. You sure you want to hold on to her? This could turn into a war. It's already a war, Raffaele says quietly. Belandi's been pushing into our territory for months. If he thinks I'll hand over a pregnant woman to avoid a fight, he's miscalculated. Lila's breath catches. She backs away from the stairs, heart slamming, and nearly collides with Mateo. Easy, he murmurs, steadying her with a hand on her elbow. They've been watching me, she whispers. For weeks. Mateo doesn't deny it. Yeah, and you didn't think to tell me? Boss wanted to confirm it first. Now he has. Downstairs. Footsteps approach. Raffaele appears at the base of the staircase, his gaze lifting to meet hers. Come down. It's not a request. Lila descends slowly, Mateo a step behind her. In the kitchen, Silvano leans against the counter, arms crossed, studying her like she's evidence. Raffaele gestures to a chair. Sit. She sits. He remains standing, looming over her in a way that feels deliberate. Camden met with Belandi's people 2 days before he disappeared, Raffaele says. He told them about you, about the pregnancy. He was trying to buy time by offering you as collateral. Lila's stomach drops. No, he wouldn't. He did. Raffaele's voice is flat, merciless. Belandi's crew has been staking out your apartment, waiting for the right moment to grab you. If you'd gone home last night, you'd be in a basement in Queens right now. She can't breathe. The room tilts, and she grips the edge of the table to keep from falling. He sold me out. Yes. For what? To buy himself a few more days? Men like Camden don't think past the next 24 hours. Raffaele pulls out the chair across from her and sits, his movements controlled and precise. But here's what matters now. Belandi knows you exist. He knows you're pregnant, and he knows you're connected to me. I'm not connected to you. You are the second I pulled you out of that gala. His gaze doesn't waver. In his mind, you're leverage. He'll use you to get to me, or he'll use you to flush Camden out. Either way, you're valuable, and that makes you dangerous. Lila's hands shake. So what do? You stay here, you follow orders, and you let me handle Belandi. Handle him how? Raffaele's expression darkens. That's not your concern? It is if people are going to die because of me. People die in this world every day, he says coldly. The question is whether you're one of them. The bluntness of it steals her breath. Silvano shifts his weight, and Mateo clears his throat from his position by the door. Raffaele stands, the conversation clearly over in his mind. One more thing, he says, pulling a small card from his pocket and sliding it across the table. Doctor's appointment. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. Mateo drives you, stays with you, brings you back. No arguments. Lila stares at the card. It's for a private clinic in Manhattan, the kind that doesn't ask questions. You're sending me to a doctor? You're 8 weeks pregnant and under extreme stress. Yes, I'm sending you to a doctor. Why do you care? The question hangs in the air. Raffaele's jaw tightens, and for a moment, something flickers across his face, something raw and quickly buried. Because I do, he says finally. That's all you need to know. He turns and walks out, Silvano following. The door closes behind them, and the house falls silent, except for the hum of the refrigerator and Lila's ragged breathing. Matteo steps closer. You okay? She looks up at him, eyes burning. No, fair enough. He pulls out a chair and sits. For what it's worth, the boss doesn't protect people he doesn't care about. He's keeping you alive for a reason. What reason? Matteo shrugs. That's between you and him. Outside, an engine starts. Lila watches through the window as the black SUV pulls away, Raffaele in the back seat, his face unreadable through the tinted glass, and she realizes, with cold certainty, that her life is no longer her own. The clinic is tucked between a bakery and a law office, unmarked except for a brass plaque by the door. Matteo parks the SUV in a loading zone, engine running, and scans the street before nodding to Lila. In and out, he says. 30 minutes max. Lila climbs out, pulling her coat tight against the December wind. The city feels louder than she remembers, full of horns and voices and the sharp bite of winter air. Matteo walks half a step behind her, close enough to intervene, far enough to let her breathe. Inside, the clinic is sterile and quiet. A receptionist with perfect nails checks her in without asking questions, and within minutes, Lila is sitting on an exam table in a pale blue gown, waiting. The door opens, and a woman in her 50s enters, calm and professional. Miss Hawthorne, I'm Dr. Grayson. She doesn't offer a handshake, just pulls up a stool and opens a tablet. You're here for a prenatal checkup. 8 weeks, correct? Yes. Any cramping? Bleeding? Severe nausea? Lila answers the questions mechanically, her mind elsewhere. Dr. Grayson works quickly. Blood pressure, blood draw, urine sample. Then the ultrasound. The gel is cold, and Lila flinches as the wand presses against her abdomen. The screen flickers to life, grainy and gray, and then there, a tiny shape, barely visible, with a fluttering heartbeat. There's your baby, Dr. Grayson says quietly. Heartbeat strong, measuring right on track. Lila stares at the screen, throat tight. It's real. It's been real for weeks, but seeing that fragile flutter makes it undeniable. Her hand moves instinctively to her stomach. Everything looks good, Dr. Grayson continues. But your blood pressure's elevated. Are you under stress? Lila almost laughs. You could say that. Try to rest. Avoid conflict. Eat regularly. The doctor's eyes flick to the door, where Matteo's shadow is visible through the frosted glass. And if you're in a situation that's not safe, there are resources. I'm fine, Lila cuts in. Thank you. Dr. Grayson doesn't look convinced, but she nods and prints out a grainy image from the ultrasound. Next appointment in 4 weeks. The front desk will schedule it. Lila dresses quickly, clutching the ultrasound printout in her hand. Matteo is waiting in the hallway, phone to his ear, but he ends the call when he sees her. All good? He asks. She nods, unable to speak. They're halfway to the exit when the front door opens and a man steps in, tall, blonde, expensive coat. Lila's entire body goes rigid. Camden. He freezes when he sees her, his face cycling through shock, relief, and something close to panic. Lila. Matteo moves faster than she thought possible, stepping between them, one hand inside his jacket. Back up. Camden raises his hands, eyes wide. Whoa, okay. I just want to talk to her. Not happening, Matteo says. Lila, please. Camden's voice cracks. I can explain. Explain what? The words tear out of her, sharp and raw. How you sold me out to pay your debts. How you told Belandi's people I was pregnant. Camden's face crumples. I didn't have a choice. They were going to kill me. So you gave them me instead? I thought I'd have time to fix it. I thought I could get the money, make it right. He takes a step forward, and Matteo's hand tightens on whatever's inside his jacket. Camden stops. You have to believe me. I never wanted this. Get out, Lila whispers. Lila. Get out. Camden's jaw works, his eyes red-rimmed and desperate. Then he looks at Matteo, at the cold promise in his stance, and backs toward the door. This isn't over, he says quietly. They're going to come for you. Whoever you're with now, they can't stop it. We'll see, Matteo says. Camden hesitates, then turns and disappears into the street. Matteo's hand stays inside his jacket until the door swings shut, and then he pulls out his phone. Boss, we have a problem. Lila barely hears the rest. Her legs give out, and she sinks onto a waiting room chair, the ultrasound printout crumpling in her fist. Mateo crouches in front of her, phone still pressed to his ear, but his free hand is on her shoulder, steadying. She's okay? He says into the phone. Yeah, Camden Royce. He was waiting outside. A pause. No, he left. Didn't try anything. Another pause, and Mateo's expression hardens. Understood. He ends the call and looks at Lila. We need to move. Now. Where? Somewhere Camden can't follow. Outside, the SUV is already running. A second vehicle has pulled up behind it, another black sedan with tinted windows. Mateo guides Lila into the back seat of the SUV, then climbs in beside her. The two cars pull into traffic in tandem, weaving through the midday crush. Lila stares at the ultrasound printout in her lap. The tiny shape, the fluttering heartbeat. 8 weeks. She presses a hand to her stomach and feels the weight of everything closing in. He looked scared, she says quietly. Mateo glances at her. He should be. What's going to happen to him? That's up to the boss. He's the father of my baby. Mateo's expression doesn't change. He's also the reason you're in danger. Don't confuse biology with loyalty. The words sting because they're true. Lila turns to the window, watching the city blur past, and tries not to think about Camden's face, about the fear in his eyes, the desperation. He made his choice. Now she has to make hers. The SUV turns onto a narrow street in Brooklyn, and the brownstone comes into view. But this time, there are more men outside, 4 of them, stationed at intervals, watching the block with the kind of attention that makes her skin crawl. Mateo notices her staring. Boss doubled security. Camden showing up means Belandi's moving faster than we thought. How much faster? Fast enough that you don't leave this house again without a full detail. Lila's chest tightens. The door opens, and Raffaele is standing in the entryway, his face carved from stone. His eyes lock onto hers, and she sees the question there before he asks it. You okay? She nods, though it's a lie. He steps aside to let her pass, and as she crosses the threshold, she hears him murmur to Mateo. Find Camden. Bring him to me. Lila stops, turning. What are you going to do? Raffaele's gaze is cold and final. What I should have done the second I heard his name. Subscribe so you don't miss what comes after. Night falls fast over Brooklyn. Lila sits on the edge of her bed, ultrasound printout still clutched in her hand, staring at the grainy image until the lines blur. Downstairs, voices rumble low, tense, urgent. She hears Raffaele's name, hears Silvano's rough baritone, hears the scrape of chairs and the slam of a door. She wants to go down there. She wants to demand answers, to tell them Camden isn't worth whatever they're planning. But her legs won't move. Because the truth is, she doesn't know what Camden is worth anymore. Not after he looked her in the eye and admitted he sold her out. Footsteps on the stairs. She looks up as Raffaele appears in the doorway, still in his dark coat, snowflakes melting in his hair. He doesn't enter, just leans against the frame, watching her. You should eat something, he says. I'm not hungry. You didn't eat lunch. You barely touched breakfast. I said I'm not hungry. His jaw tightens, but he doesn't push. Instead, he steps into the room and sits in the chair by the window, keeping distance between them. The silence stretches, uncomfortable and heavy. Where's Camden? Lila asks finally. We're looking. And when you find him? Raffaele's gaze doesn't waver. I'm going to have a conversation with him. What kind of conversation? The kind that ends with him understanding he doesn't get to use you as a bargaining chip. Lila's hands twist in her lap. He's scared. He made a mistake. He made a choice. Raffaele cuts in, voice hard. There's a difference. And now he gets to live with the consequences. You're going to kill him. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. Raffaele stands, crossing to the window, hands in his pockets. Outside, the street is dark except for the glow of streetlights and the occasional sweep of headlights. You think I'm a monster, he says quietly. I don't know what you are. He turns, and the look on his face is something she can't name, part anger, part exhaustion, part something older and more scarred. I'm someone who keeps his people safe. That's all I've ever been. I'm not your people. You became my people the second you sent that text. His voice drops, softer now. Whether you meant to or not. Lila looks down at the ultrasound printout, at the tiny flutter of life she can barely comprehend. I didn't ask for this. Neither did I. He moves closer, close enough that she can see the lines around his eyes, the faint scar along his jaw. But here we are. Before she can respond, his phone buzzes. He pulls it out, reads the screen, and his expression hardens. I have to go. Where? Belandi's making moves. I need to be there. Fear spikes through her. What kind of moves? The kind that means this ends soon, one way or another. He heads for the door, then pauses. Matteo and Nico are here. Don't open the door for anyone else. Don't go near the windows. And if you hear anything, gunfire, shouting, anything, you get in the closet and you don't come out until someone you trust tells you it's clear. Her pulse hammers. Raffaele. He looks back, and for a split second, the mask cracks. She sees the weight he carries, the ghosts that follow him, the part of him that's been broken and badly repaired. I won't let them touch you, he says quietly. I give you my word. Then he's gone. She hears him downstairs, issuing rapid-fire orders, and then the front door slams and engines roar to life outside. Lila moves to the window, peering through the curtain, and watches 3 black vehicles peel away into the night. Matteo appears in the doorway. You need to stay away from the windows. She lets the curtain fall. What's happening? Boss is handling it. That's not an answer. Matteo's expression is grim. It's the only one I've got. He leaves her alone. But she can hear him in the hallway, murmuring into his phone. Downstairs, another voice, Nico's. She thinks answers in low, clipped tones. The house feels smaller now, the walls pressing in. Lila lies down on the bed, staring at the ceiling, and presses a hand to her stomach. 8 weeks. A heartbeat she saw flickering on a screen. A life that depends entirely on choices she didn't make, and a man she barely knows. Time crawls. Minutes feel like hours. She drifts in and out of a restless half-sleep, jolting awake at every creak, every distant siren. And then, just past midnight, her eyes snap open at a sound that doesn't belong. Glass shattering. Downstairs, footsteps, fast and heavy. Matteo's voice, sharp and urgent. Get down. A gunshot. The crack splits the night, impossibly loud, and Lila's body moves on instinct. She rolls off the bed, hits the floor, and scrambles toward the closet. Her hands shake so badly she can barely grip the handle, but she yanks the door open and crawls inside, pulling it shut behind her. More gunfire, rapid, staccato bursts that echo through the walls. She hears shouting, Matteo, Nico, voices she doesn't recognize. Something crashes. Someone screams. Lila clamps a hand over her mouth, trying to breathe, trying not to sob. Her other hand presses against her stomach, protective and desperate. Stay quiet. Stay still. Don't let them hear you. Footsteps pound up the stairs. Her bedroom door slams open. She squeezes her eyes shut, heart hammering so hard it hurts, and prays they don't check the closet. Where is she? A voice demands, rough, unfamiliar. Not here. Another answers. Check the other rooms. Footsteps move away. Lila risks a breath, shallow and silent. Downstairs, the gunfire has stopped, but the silence is worse. She counts seconds, then minutes, every nerve screaming, and then, distantly, she hears it. More engines, car doors slamming. Raffaele's voice, low and lethal. Clear the house, now. The closet door is ripped open, and Lila's scream dies in her throat as she sees Matteo, blood streaking his temple, gun in hand. It's me, he says quickly. You're okay. It's over. She can't move, can't breathe. He reaches in, takes her hand, and pulls her gently to her feet. Downstairs, men move through the wreckage, overturned furniture, shattered glass, bullet holes stitching the walls, and in the center of it all, Raffaele stands over 2 bodies, his knuckles split and bleeding. His eyes find hers across the room, and the raw relief on his face is unmistakable. Raffaele crosses the room in 3 strides, his hands cupping Lila's face before she can process it. His palms are warm, rough, and she can feel the tremor running through them despite the control in his voice. You're okay, he says, not a question, a command, as if saying it makes it true. She nods, unable to form words. His eyes scan her face, her neck, her arms, checking for injury with the kind of precision that speaks to experience. When he's satisfied, he releases her and turns to Matteo. How many? 4 inside, 2 down. 2 ran when they heard you pull up. Matteo's voice is steady despite the blood trailing down his face. Nico's got a shoulder wound. Already called the doc. Raffaele's jaw clenches. Belandi's? Yeah. Recognized one of them from the Astoria crew. They knew exactly where to hit. Raffaele's voice is cold, lethal. Someone talked. The implication hangs in the air, heavy and dangerous. Lila wraps her arms around herself, trying to stop shaking. The bodies on the floor, she forces herself not to look, but she can see them in her peripheral vision, sprawled and motionless. "Get her out of here," Raffaele says to Matteo. "Take her upstairs. Don't let her see this." "I've already seen it," Lila whispers. He turns to her, and the look on his face is something between fury and anguish. "You shouldn't have to, but I did." Her voice is stronger now, threaded with anger. "This is my life now, isn't it? Running, hiding, men with guns breaking into houses because of me. Not because of you," Raffaele cuts in sharply. "Because of Camden. Because of Belandi. Because of choices other people made. Choices I'm paying for." He has no answer to that. Silvano appears from the back of the house, phone pressed to his ear, his expression grim. He catches Raffaele's eye and shakes his head. Whatever he was hoping for, he didn't get it. "Boss," Silvano says quietly, "we need to move her. This location's burned." "I know." Raffaele runs a hand through his hair, and for the first time Lila sees cracks in his composure. "How fast can you get the uptown safe house ready?" 2 hours, maybe less. "Do it in 1. Raffaele turns to Lila. "Pack whatever you need. We leave in 15 minutes. She stares at him. "Just like that? Just like that? And what about next time? When they find that house too? Then we move again." His voice is flat, unyielding. "We keep moving until Belandi's crew is eliminated or he backs down. Whichever comes first. And if neither happens," Raffaele steps closer, and his voice drops to something almost gentle, "then I make sure he doesn't get the chance to try again." Lila wants to argue, wants to scream, but exhaustion and fear have hollowed her out. She turns and climbs the stairs, Matteo a shadow behind her. In the bedroom, she shoves clothes into the bag someone left on the chair, more items she didn't ask for, chosen by strangers who somehow know her sizes, her needs, her life better than she does. Her hands still when she sees the ultrasound printout on the nightstand. She picks it up, staring at the tiny shape, the flutter of a heartbeat. 8 weeks. A baby who doesn't know the world it's being born into, doesn't know the danger swirling around it. "You ready?" Matteo asks from the doorway. She tucks the printout carefully into her coat pocket. "No. But does it matter?" He almost smiles. "Not really." Downstairs, the bodies have been moved. The blood is still there, dark stains on the hardwood, but the worst of the wreckage has been cleared. Raffaele is waiting by the door, coat on, eyes sharp. 2 new men flank him, older, harder, unfamiliar. "Stay close to me," Raffaele says as she approaches. "Don't stop, don't look back. Understand?" Lila nods. He opens the door, and the cold night air rushes in. The street is lined with vehicles, now 5 black SUVs. Engines running, exhaust rising like smoke. Men stand at intervals, scanning rooftops, windows, every shadow. Raffaele's hand finds the small of her back, guiding her toward the center vehicle. She climbs in, and he slides in beside her. Matteo takes the front passenger seat, and Silvano gets behind the wheel. The convoy pulls out in tight formation, moving fast through the empty Brooklyn streets. Lila watches the brownstone recede through the rear window. Somewhere inside, there's still broken glass, still blood on the floor, still the echo of gunfire. She presses a hand to her stomach and tries to breathe. "They'll come again," she says quietly. Raffaele doesn't look at her. "Yes. How many times can we run? As many as it takes. Until what? Until I have this baby in a safe house surrounded by armed men?" He finally turns, and his gaze is heavy. "If that's what it takes to keep you both alive, then yes, that's not a life. It's better than the alternative." Lila looks away, throat tight. The city slides past streetlights, late-night diners, the occasional pedestrian hunched against the cold. Normal people living normal lives, unaware that 3 cars away, a pregnant woman is being smuggled through the night by a mafia boss who's decided she's worth protecting. "Why me?" she asks suddenly. "You could have ignored that text. Could have written me off as a wrong number. Why didn't you?" Raffaele is silent for a long moment. Then, quietly, "I told you. I lost someone once because I didn't act fast enough." "Who?" His jaw tightens. "Someone who mattered. A woman? A woman. And a child." The words are clipped, painful. "She was pregnant, 16 weeks. I was handling a deal, thought I had time to make it safe before telling anyone. I didn't." He exhales slowly. "Rival family found out. Used her to get to me. By the time I got there," he doesn't finish. He doesn't have to. Lila's chest aches. "I'm sorry." Don't be. Just understand why I'm not making that mistake again. The convoy turns onto a quieter street, slowing as they approach a sleek high-rise with a guarded entrance. Silvano pulls into an underground garage, and the other vehicles fan out, securing the perimeter. We're here, Raffaele says. Lila looks up at the building glass and steel. Modern and anonymous. Another safe house. Another temporary shelter. She wonders how many more there will be before this ends. Raffaele's hand is on the door handle, but he pauses. I'll keep you safe, Lila, whatever it costs. She meets his eyes, and for the first time, she believes him. The safe house is on the 23rd floor, all floor-to-ceiling windows and expensive minimalism. Lila steps inside and feels the wrongness of it immediately. Too clean, too empty, like a hotel room designed to hold no memories. Raffaele moves through the space with practiced efficiency, checking locks, drawing curtains, murmuring instructions to the men who followed them up. This floor and the one above are ours, he says without looking at her. 24-hour security in the lobby, 2 men on this floor at all times. You don't answer the door. You don't go near the windows. You don't leave without me or Matteo. Lila drops her bag on the pristine white couch. I know the rules by now. Raffaele finally turns, and exhaustion shows in the lines around his eyes. Good. Then we won't have problems. Silvano appears in the doorway. Perimeter's secure. Nico's getting stitched up downstairs. Doc says he'll be fine. And the men who ran? Gone. But we got IDs from the bodies. Both confirmed Belandi crew. Silvano's expression darkens. He's not being subtle anymore. He doesn't need to be. Raffaele pulls off his coat, and Lila sees blood on his shirt cuff. He knows where we were. That means he's got inside information. You think someone flipped? I think someone got sloppy. Find out who. Raffaele's voice is ice. And when you do, bring them to me. Silvano nods and disappears. Matteo hovers near the door, phone in hand, texting rapidly. Raffaele crosses to the kitchen, opens a cabinet, and pulls out a bottle of whiskey. He pours 2 fingers into a glass and drains it in one swallow. Lila watches from across the room. You're bleeding. He glances at his cuff, then back at her. It's not mine. Your knuckles are split. He looks down at his hands, at the torn skin and dried blood, and flexes his fingers slowly. Hazard of the job. Let me clean them. I'm fine. You're not. She crosses to him before he can argue, taking his wrist and guiding him toward the sink. He resists for a moment, then relents. She turns on the water, tests the temperature, and gently pulls his hands under the stream. Blood swirls down the drain, pink and diluted. You don't have to do this, he says quietly. I know. She grabs a clean dish towel and pats his hands dry, careful around the raw edges. But you keep saying you're protecting me. Let me do something back. His gaze is heavy on her face. This isn't protection. This is basic decency. So is what you're doing. No. His voice drops. What I'm doing is self-interest. Belandi sees you as leverage against me. If I lose you, I look weak. Weakness gets you killed in this world. Leila looks up, meeting his eyes. I don't believe that's the only reason. Believe what you want. She finds antiseptic in the cabinet. Of course there's antiseptic. There's probably a field surgery kit somewhere too, and dabs it carefully over his knuckles. He doesn't flinch, doesn't pull away, just watches her with that unreadable expression. The woman you lost, Lila says quietly. What was her name? Raffaele's jaw tightens. It doesn't matter. It does to you. For a long moment, he's silent. Then, Elisa. What happened to her? She was taken from a restaurant. Broad daylight. 3 men, a van, gone in under a minute. His voice is flat, emotionless, but she can hear the fracture underneath. They sent me a video 2 hours later. Told me if I wanted her back, I'd give them the East River ports. I refused. Thought I could negotiate, buy time, find her before the deadline. He pauses. I was wrong. Lila's throat closes. I'm sorry. I told you. Don't be sorry. Learn from it. He pulls his hands back, flexing his fingers. I won't make the same mistake twice. I'm not her. No, you're not. He meets her eyes. But you're carrying a child. And that means something. Before she can respond, Matteo's voice cuts through from the doorway. Boss. Camden Royce just walked into the 63rd precinct. Turned himself in. Raffaele's expression goes cold. What? Walked in 20 minutes ago. Said he's got information on organized crime activity and wants protective custody. Matteo's tone is disgusted. Cowards trying to hide behind the cops. Raffaele's hand closes into a fist, knuckles going white despite the fresh wounds. Does Belandi know? If he doesn't now, he will soon. Then Camden's a dead man. Raffaele turns to Silvano, who's reappeared in the doorway. Get eyes on that precinct. I want to know the second he moves, where he goes, who he talks to. You want him grabbed? Not yet. Let him think he's safe. Let him get comfortable. Raffaele's smile is sharp and cruel. Then we'll have that conversation. Lila's stomach twists. You can't just kidnap someone out of police custody. I can do whatever I need to do. He's trying to protect himself. He's trying to save his own skin by selling everyone else out. Raffaele's voice is hard. Including you. You think he won't tell the cops about your connection to me? About where you've been, what you know? I don't know anything. You know enough. He steps closer. And the second the NYPD starts asking questions about you, this gets complicated. Cops mean judges. Judges mean subpoenas. Subpoenas mean courtrooms. You want to testify about what you've seen in the last 72 hours? The implication is clear. She'd be signing her own death warrant. Belandi's people would find her before she ever made it to a witness stand. So, what do we do? She asks quietly. We wait. We watch. And when Camden slips, Raffaele's expression is merciless. I'll be there. A phone buzzes. Matteo checks it, then looks up sharply. Boss, we've got movement. 2 cars just pulled up outside Camden's mother's place in Staten Island. Belandi's crew? Unknown plates, but the profile fits. Raffaele's eyes narrow. He's going after Camden's family to flush him out. What do we do? Raffaele is silent for a moment, weighing options. Then, send Nico and 2 others. Surveillance only. I want to know if they make contact, if they take anyone, where they go. Do not engage unless civilians are in immediate danger. Matteo nods and steps into the hallway, already dialing. Silvano follows, murmuring orders into his own phone. And then it's just Raffaele and Lila, standing in the sterile kitchen while the city glitters outside the covered windows. This is going to get worse before it gets better, Raffaele says quietly. Lila wraps her arms around herself. How much worse? Belandi won't stop until he has leverage. Camden's in custody, so he can't use him. That leaves you. He pauses. And now he knows you matter to me. I don't. You do. The words are firm, final, whether you want to or not. Outside, sirens wail in the distance. Lila thinks about Camden walking into that precinct, desperate and terrified. She thinks about his mother in Staten Island, unaware that men with guns are watching her house. She thinks about the baby growing inside her, 8 weeks and fragile, caught in a war it didn't ask for. I need to sleep, she whispers. Raffaele gestures down the hall. Second door. Bathroom's attached. Matteo will be outside. She walks past him, exhaustion pulling at every step. But at the threshold, she stops. Thank you. For tonight. For getting there when you did. He doesn't turn around. Get some rest, Lila. She closes the door behind her and sinks onto the bed, still fully clothed. Through the wall, she can hear Raffaele's voice, low and commanding, issuing orders that will ripple through the city's underworld. And for the first time since this started, she wonders if surviving means losing every piece of who she used to be. Lila wakes to voices arguing in the next room. She sits up slowly, disoriented, and checks the clock on the nightstand. 4:30 a.m. She's been asleep less than 3 hours, but her body feels like it's been dragged through concrete. The voices rise Raffaele's, cold and controlled, and another she doesn't recognize, higher-pitched and defensive. She slips out of bed, cracks the door, and peers down the hallway. In the living room, Raffaele stands with his back to her, shoulders rigid, while a younger man in his early 20s sits on the couch, hands trembling. I didn't tell them anything specific, the young man pleads. Just that you had someone staying with you. You told them enough. Raffaele's voice is lethal. Belandi's crew knew exactly where to hit, exactly when. That doesn't happen unless someone gives them a map. I swear I didn't know they'd... You didn't think. Raffaele turns, and even from the hallway, Lila can see the fury in his posture. You ran your mouth to impress some girl at a bar, and now good men are bleeding because of it. The young man's face crumples. Boss, please, get him out of my sight, Raffaele says to Matteo, who's standing near the window. Put him somewhere he can't do any more damage. I'll decide what to do with him later. Matteo moves forward, gripping the young man's arm. The kid doesn't resist, just stumbles toward the door, tears streaming down his face. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. The door closes, cutting off his apologies. Raffaele stands alone in the center of the room, fists clenched, breathing hard. Leela steps into the doorway. "He's just a kid," she says quietly. Raffaele spins, and the look on his face makes her take a step back. "He's a liability, and liabilities get people killed. He made a mistake that almost cost you your life." He crosses to the window, yanks the curtain aside an inch, and stares out at the sleeping city. In this world, there's no room for mistakes like that. You learn fast or you don't survive. Lila wraps her arms around herself. "What are you going to do to him?" "I don't know yet." "You're not going to." She can't finish the sentence. Raffaele lets the curtain fall and turns to face her. "Kill him? No. But I can't let it slide either." Word gets out that talking to the wrong person has no consequences, and suddenly everyone's a risk. "So you'll what? Beat him? Exile him?" "I'll do whatever keeps the rest of my people in line." His voice softens slightly. "You don't understand how fragile this is, Lila. One weak link, one careless word, and the entire structure collapses. I can't afford compassion right now. You afforded it for me." "That's different." "How?" He's silent for a long moment, jaw working. Then quietly, "Because you didn't choose this." He did. Before she can respond, Silvano bursts through the door, phone in hand, expression grim. "We've got a problem. Camden's mother was just taken from her house. 2 men, white van. Happened 10 minutes ago." Raffaele's face goes stone cold. "Belandi? Has to be. Neighbors saw it, called 911, but the van was gone before patrol arrived. Where's Camden now?" "Still in protective custody at the precinct. But if he finds out his mother's been grabbed, he'll do exactly what Belandi wants." Raffaele runs a hand through his hair. "He'll walk out of that station and straight into a trap." "Do we intervene?" Raffaele paces, thinking fast. "If we grab Camden first, we have leverage, but it tips our hand. Belandi will know we're protecting him, which confirms you matter." He glances at Lila. "If we let it play out, Camden's a dead man, and his mother probably is too. And if they die?" Leela's voice is shaking. "His mother has nothing to do with this. She's related to Camden. In Belandi's eyes, that's enough." Lila feels sick. "So we just let her die?" "I didn't say that." Raffaele turns to Silvano. "Get eyes on the van, track it, find out where they're taking her, and put a team outside the precinct. The second Camden walks out, we move. And then we bring him here. Let him see what his choices have cost." Raffaele's expression is merciless. Maybe it'll teach him something before he gets everyone around him killed. Silvano nods and steps into the hallway, already barking orders into his phone. Matteo reappears, standing at attention near the door. "What do you need from me?" he asks. "You stay with her." Raffaele nods toward Lila. "I'm going to the precinct. If Camden bolts before my team gets there, I want to be close enough to intercept." "You're going yourself?" Lila's voice rises. "That's insane. Belandi's people will be watching that building." "Let them watch." Raffaele grabs his coat from the chair. "They want to see how far I'll go to protect what's mine? I'll show them. I'm not yours." He stops, hand on the doorknob, and looks back at her. "Keep telling yourself that." Then he's gone, the door slamming shut behind him. Lila stands frozen in the middle of the room, pulse hammering. Matteo moves to the window, peering through the gap in the curtains. "He's going to get himself killed," Lila whispers. "Maybe." Matteo doesn't look away from the street, but he's been doing this a long time. He knows how to handle himself. Does he know how to handle Belandi? Matteo's silence is answer enough. Lila sinks onto the couch, pressing a hand to her stomach. The baby is still too small to feel, but she imagines she can sense it anyway, a tiny presence, fragile and utterly dependent on her survival. She thinks about Camden's mother, terrified in the back of a van. She thinks about the young man who talked too much, now locked away somewhere, waiting for Raffaele's judgment. She thinks about Raffaele himself, driving through the pre-dawn streets toward a confrontation that could end in blood. "I can't do this," she says quietly. Matteo glances at her. "Yes, you can. I'm not strong enough." "You're still here, aren't you?" He crosses to the couch, sits down a respectful distance away. "You've been shot at, relocated twice, and you're still standing. That's strength. That's survival. It's not the same thing." "In this world it is." Lila's phone, still in Matteo's possession, buzzes in his pocket. He pulls it out, checks the screen, and frowns. "Your sister's been calling. 15 times in the last 2 hours. Let me talk to her." "Boss," said no contact. "She's my sister. She's probably terrified." Lila holds out her hand. Please. Mateo hesitates, then hands over the phone. 2 minutes. And if she asks where you are, you lie. Lila nods and dials. Her sister picks up on the first ring. Lila? Oh my God, where have you been? I've been calling. I'm okay. Lila cuts in, voice shaking. I'm safe. I can't explain right now. Can't explain? You send me a cryptic text about being pregnant and then disappear for 3 days. I know. I'm sorry, but you have to trust me. I'm somewhere safe, and I'll call you as soon as I can. Are you in trouble? Lila closes her eyes. Yes. Her sister's breath hitches. What kind of trouble? The kind I can't talk about on the phone. Lila glances at Mateo, who's tapping his watch. I have to go. But I love you. And I'm okay. I promise. She ends the call before her sister can argue and hands the phone back to Mateo. He powers it down and tucks it away without a word. Outside, the sky is starting to lighten pale gray, edging toward dawn. And somewhere across the city, Raffaele is walking into danger for a man who sold Lila out and a woman who never asked to be part of this war. Lila presses both hands to her stomach and prays they all make it to sunrise. Dawn breaks gray and cold over Manhattan. Lila stands at the window despite Mateo's warning, watching the city wake up below early commuters, delivery trucks, steam rising from subway grates, normal life, continuing as if the world isn't fracturing around her. Her phone buzzes in Mateo's pocket. He answers immediately, listens, then his expression hardens. Understood. We're ready. He ends the call and looks at Lila. Boss has Camden. They're bringing him here. Is he hurt? Does it matter? Yes, she says quietly. Mateo studies her for a moment, then shrugs. He's intact, for now. 20 minutes later, the elevator dings. Lila's pulse spikes as the doors open and Raffaele walks in, flanked by Silvano and 2 other men. Between them, hands zip-tied in front of him, is Camden. He looks worse than when she saw him at the clinic, unshaven, hollow-eyed, shirt wrinkled and stained. When he sees Lila, his face crumples. Lila, don't. Raffaele's voice cuts like a blade. He shoves Camden toward the couch, and the younger man stumbles, barely catching himself before he falls. Sit. Don't talk unless I ask you a question. Camden sits, hands shaking. Raffaele stands over him, arms crossed, radiating controlled fury. Lila stays by the window, heart hammering. Your mother was taken 4 hours ago, Raffaele says flatly. White van, 2 men, plates traced back to a shell company Belandi uses for wet work. You know what that means? Camden's face goes white. No, they wouldn't. They would. They did. Raffaele leans down, getting in Camden's face. You ran to the cops thinking you'd be safe. You left your mother exposed. And now Belandi has her. Oh God. Camden's voice breaks. Where is she? Is she? Alive. For now. Raffaele straightens. Belandi's using her as bait. He knows you'll do anything to get her back, which means he's counting on you doing something stupid. I'll give him whatever he wants. You don't have anything he wants. You're broke, you're a coward, and you already sold out everyone you know. Raffaele's voice is merciless. The only thing you have left is Lila. And you already tried that. Camden's eyes dart to Lila, pleading. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I thought I could fix it. You thought you could gamble your way out of debt, and when that didn't work, you thought you could trade a pregnant woman's life for your own. Raffaele's fist slams down on the arm of the couch, making Camden flinch. You don't get to fix this. You don't get to make it right. You're done. Then kill me, Camden whispers. Just let my mom go and kill me. I'm not going to kill you. Raffaele's smile is cold. I'm going to give you a choice. You can walk out of here right now, go meet Belandi, and beg for your mother's life. He'll torture you for information, and when you don't have anything useful, he'll kill you both. Camden's breath comes in short, panicked gasps. Or you help me end this. Silence. Camden stares up at Raffaele, confusion and terror warring on his face. How? You're going to call Belandi. You're going to tell him you've got something he wants, proof that I'm protecting a high-value asset. You'll offer a trade, the asset for your mother. Camden's eyes widen. You want me to give him Lila? No. Raffaele's voice is ice. I want you to lie. You set up a meeting. Public place, neutral ground. You tell him you'll bring Lila. But it won't be Lila. It'll be one of my people, wired, armed, and ready. And then what? Then I take Belandi down. Recover your mother. End this war. Raffaele pauses. And you get to live. Maybe. Camden looks at Lila again, desperation written across his face. What do you think? Don't ask her, Raffaele snaps. She's not part of this decision. This is between you and me. But Lila steps forward, ignoring the warning in Raffaele's eyes. If you do this, Camden, you have to commit. No backing out. No last-minute panic. People's lives depend on you not screwing this up. I know. Camden's voice is barely audible. I know I've already screwed up so much. Then don't screw this up too. Her voice hardens. Your mother deserves better than what you've given her. So does this baby. Camden's eyes drop to her stomach, and something breaks in his expression. I'm sorry. For everything. I never meant. I don't care what you meant. Lila's voice is steady now, cold. I care what you do next. Raffaele pulls out a burner phone and tosses it to Camden. Make the call. You've got one chance to sound convincing. If Belandi suspects anything, your mother dies and you follow. Camden catches the phone with shaking hands. He stares at it for a long moment, then dials. The room falls silent except for the sound of ringing. Once. Twice. Then a voice answers. Rough and impatient. Royce. Camden swallows hard. It's me. It's Camden. You've got some nerve calling this number. I know where she is. The woman, the pregnant one. The one Corvini's protecting. Camden's voice shakes, but he pushes through. I can get her to you, but I want my mother back first. There's a pause. Then, low and dangerous. You're lying. I'm not. I swear. I know where he's keeping her. I can bring her to you. Just please, let my mom go. Another pause. Lila can hear murmuring in the background, multiple voices conferring. Then Belandi comes back on the line. Where and when? Camden looks at Raffaele, who holds up fingers. 2. Then makes a circular motion. Camden nods. 2 hours. The old pier at Red Hook, the one that's been shut down. If you're setting me up, I'm not. I just want my mother back. That's all. Camden's voice cracks. Please. Belandi is silent for a beat. Then 2 hours. You bring the girl. I bring your mother. We make the trade. And Royce? If I see Corvini's people anywhere near that pier, your mother's body goes in the river. The line goes dead. Camden lowers the phone, his whole body trembling. Raffaele takes it from him, checks the call log, then nods to Silvano. Get the team ready. Full tactical. I want snipers on the rooftops, 3 vehicles for extraction, and someone who can pass for Lila from a distance. Silvano nods and steps away, already making calls. Raffaele turns to Camden. You did good. Now comes the hard part. What hard part? You have to go to that pier. You have to sell this. Raffaele's gaze is unyielding. If you panic, if you run, if you give Belandi any reason to think this is a setup, people die. Starting with your mother. Camden nods, face pale. I can do it. I have to. Yes, Raffaele says quietly. You do. Matteo steps forward. I'll take him to get cleaned up. Make him look less like he's been sleeping in a holding cell. As they disappear down the hall, Lila sinks onto the couch, exhaustion crashing over her. Raffaele sits beside her, close enough that she can feel the heat radiating from him. This is insane, she whispers. It's the only play we have. He looks at her, and his expression softens fractionally. You stay here. Locked down. Matteo and 2 others guard this door. You don't leave. You don't answer calls. You don't exist until I come back. And if you don't come back, his jaw tightens. Then Matteo gets you out of the city. New identity, new life. You disappear. I don't want to disappear. You will if you have to. He stands, pulling on his coat. This ends today, Lila. One way or another. She watches him walk toward the door, every step carrying him closer to a confrontation that could end in blood. And she realizes, with cold certainty, that she's terrified of losing him, this man she barely knows, who's upended her entire life. Raffaele. He stops, looks back. Come back, she says quietly. For a moment, something unguarded flashes across his face. Then he nods. I will. And he's gone. The waiting is agony. Lila paces the apartment, checking the clock every few minutes, though time seems to have stopped. Matteo stands guard by the door, phone in hand, face unreadable. 2 other men, older, silent, flank the hallway outside. How long has it been? Lila asks for the 3rd time. Matteo doesn't check his watch. 40 minutes since they left. Hour and 20 until the meet. And then we wait some more. Lila wraps her arms around herself. feeling the nausea that's become her constant companion. She hasn't eaten since last night, and her body is protesting. Matteo notices. "There's food in the kitchen," he says. "You should eat." "I can't. The baby needs it." The bluntness cuts through her anxiety. She nods and moves to the kitchen, forcing herself to make toast, to spread peanut butter, to chew and swallow even though every bite tastes like dust. Through the window, the city sprawls below, indifferent, massive, continuing without her. Her phone buzzes. Matteo pulls it out, checks the screen, then brings it to her. "Your sister again. Let me talk to her, please. Just for a minute." Matteo hesitates, then hands it over. 1 minute. Lila dials with shaking fingers. Her sister answers immediately. "Lila, thank God. Are you okay? Where are you?" "I'm safe. I can't tell you more than that. Can't or won't." Her sister's voice is tight with worry. "You're scaring me. If you're in trouble, let me help." "You can't help with this." Lila's voice breaks. "Lila, what's going on? I made some bad choices, got involved with someone I shouldn't have. And now," she presses a hand to her stomach, "now I'm trying to fix it. The pregnancy. Is that real?" "Yes, 8 weeks." Her sister is silent for a beat. Then, quietly, "And the father? Isn't in the picture anymore. But there's someone else. Someone who's..." Lila struggles to find the words. "Someone who's keeping me safe." "Safe from what?" Matteo taps his watch. "Time's up." Lila closes her eyes. "I have to go. I love you. And I'm sorry for disappearing. I'll explain everything when I can." "Lila, wait." She ends the call and hands the phone back to Matteo. He powers it down without comment. The silence settles heavy and oppressive. 45 minutes pass. Then an hour. Lila sits on the couch, hands pressed to her stomach, whispering to the tiny life inside her. Promises she doesn't know if she can keep. Hopes she's too afraid to speak aloud. Then Matteo's phone rings. He answers, listens, and his expression shifts relief mixed with something harder. "Copy that. We're locked down." He lowers the phone and looks at Lila. "It's done. Boss is on his way back. Camden's mother? Alive. Being taken to a hospital." Matteo pauses. "Camden's alive too. Barely. What happened?" "You'll have to ask the boss." Another 20 minutes of excruciating silence. Then the elevator dings, and Raffaele walks in. He's disheveled, coat torn, dirt on his face, knuckles freshly split, but he's upright, moving under his own power, and his eyes find Lila immediately. "You're okay," she breathes. "I'm fine." He shrugs off the ruined coat and tosses it aside. Belandi's crew is scattered. 4 dead, 3 in custody, the rest running. Belandi himself got away, but he's wounded and alone. He won't be a problem much longer. Silvano follows him in, looking equally battered but grimly satisfied. Camden held up, played his part, got his mother out before the shooting started. "And then?" Lila asks. "Then he got stupid." Raffaele's voice is flat. "Tried to be a hero. Took a bullet meant for one of my men. Grazed his ribs. But he'll live." Lila sinks back onto the couch, relief and exhaustion washing over her. "So it's over." "Not yet." Raffaele crosses to the window, looking out over the city. "Belandi's still out there, but he's lost his infrastructure, his muscle, his credibility. It'll take him months to rebuild, and by then," he glances at Silvano, "by then we'll have made sure he can't." Silvano nods and steps into the hallway, already coordinating next moves. Matteo follows, leaving Lila and Raffaele alone. She stands slowly, crossing to him. "You came back." "I said I would. I know. But I wasn't sure I believed you." He turns, and the exhaustion in his face is startling. For the first time, he looks his age, every scar, every sleepless night, every choice that's worn him down. "I don't break promises. Not to people who matter. I matter to you." Yes, no hesitation, no deflection, just truth. Lila's breath catches. "Why?" Raffaele steps closer, and his hand lifts, hovering near her face before he catches himself and lowers it. "Because, when I read that text, something changed. I felt something I haven't felt in years. Fear. Not for myself, but for someone else. For you. For the baby." His voice drops. "And I realized I'd do anything to keep you safe. Even if it meant starting a war." "You did start a war. I know." His lips curve into a faint, bitter smile. "And I'd do it again." Lila reaches up, taking his hand, the one with the split knuckles and dried blood. She holds it between both of hers, feeling the warmth, the strength, the damage. What happens now? Now you have a choice. Raffaele's gaze is steady. I can set you up with a new identity, a new city, enough money to start over, you and the baby disappear, and you never see me again. Or you stay, with me, in this world. His jaw tightens. It won't be easy. There will always be enemies, always be risks. But I'll protect you both. I'll build something safer, something that doesn't require running every time a threat surfaces. You're asking me to trust you. I'm asking you to choose me. Lila looks down at their joined hands. She thinks about the last 4 days, the terror, the violence, the moments when she thought she wouldn't survive. But she also thinks about the way Raffaele looked at her ultrasound printout, the way he ordered food she could keep down, the way he stepped between her and danger without hesitation. I don't know if I can live in your world, she says quietly. Then I'll change my world. His voice is fierce, certain. For you, for the baby. I'll make it something you can live in. That's a big promise. I keep my promises. She looks up, meeting his eyes. What if I can't be what you need? You already are. He lifts his free hand, cupping her face gently. You're stubborn, terrified, brave, and you refuse to break no matter what I throw at you. That's exactly what I need. Lila's eyes burn. I'm pregnant with another man's baby. I don't care about biology. I care about who's here, who's fighting, who's choosing to stay. His thumb brushes her cheek. So stay. The word hangs between them, heavy with possibility. Lila thinks about the alternative: running, hiding, raising a child alone in some anonymous city. Safe, maybe, but empty. Okay, she whispers. Okay, I'll stay. I'll try. But you have to promise me something. Anything. No more secrets. No more decisions made for me without asking. This has to be a partnership, not a dictatorship. Raffaele's lips twitch into something almost like a smile. I can work with that. And the baby comes first. Always. No matter what. Done. She searches his face, looking for doubt, for hesitation, but all she sees is certainty. I'm still scared. Good. He leans down, pressing his forehead against hers. Fear keeps you sharp, keeps you alive. What keeps you alive? You, he says quietly. Now, outside, the winter sun breaks through the clouds, casting pale gold light across the room. Somewhere in the city, Belandi is running, wounded and desperate. Somewhere, Camden is being stitched up in a hospital, reckoning with his choices. Somewhere, the world is still dangerous and unpredictable. But here, in this moment, Lila feels the shift, the tiny flutter in her stomach, real or imagined, and the steady presence of the man in front of her. The one who answered a desperate text from a stranger and turned her life into chaos. The one who's promising to rebuild that chaos into something she can survive. 3 months later, spring softens the edges of Manhattan. Lila stands in the penthouse. Raffaele moved them to high above the city. Windows facing the river. Security so tight it's invisible. Her hand rests on her rounded belly. 16 weeks now. The pregnancy undeniable. Raffaele comes up behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist, careful of the swell. Doctor called. Everything looks perfect. Good. She leans back into him. And Belandi? Gone. Fled to Europe. Won't be coming back. She turns in his arms, studying his face. The lines are still there. The scars, the weight. But there's something else now too, something lighter. You really did it. You changed your world. We changed it. He kisses her forehead. Together. Below, the city hums with life. But up here, in the quiet, Lila finally feels safe. Finally believes that the tiny heartbeat inside her has a chance at a future. And when Raffaele's phone buzzes with the first message on his new private line, one only his inner circle has, she doesn't flinch. Because she knows now. Some wrong numbers change everything. Thank you so much for sticking around and showing me so much love and support. You have no idea how much it means to me. If this story resonated with you, then hit that subscribe and like button right now. Let's prove my daughter wrong.